ayahuasca was the thing that really put a nail in the coffin of my depression. Like for the past 2 years, no fucking depression. Never thought I would feel like that. It's such a beautiful thing. Like I would recommend anybody that is interested or struggling with something to at least look into it.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And every so often, we'll sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice. You know, life can be tough, and we can lose our identities and struggle at times. This is the podcast to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there struggling or going through those things, this is the show for you. What's up, guys? So this is it's a Thursday episode, so we've got a guest in studio today. So we have a friend of mine. He is a real estate developer, a friend, client, business partner of mine, a jiu-jitsu blue belt, the great and powerful Nick Baldwin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, for sure. We're happy to have you here, man. Like, we've known each other for a number of years, and, we haven't really, we've done a couple real estate deals together now, and I just thought you'd be an awesome person to have on. You've definitely got an interesting story, and, you're just one of my favorite people to hang out with. So, yeah, we just thought we'd have you on and kind of get your story. So, why don't you tell the people, the listeners, a little bit about yourself, kind of where you come from, give us the Nick Baldwin origin story.
Graduated high school, and I don't know, real estate was really hot in St. Louis at the time.
And when was this?
It was like 2005, downtown with the lofts were first getting developed, and like there was just a buzz in the air, and it was like it really excited me. And I always wanted to develop and rehab houses. So I was like, okay, I guess I should get my real estate license. So I went and I took the test. And on June 5th, 2005, I was like driving on Highway 55 north right before Anheuser-Busch. Literally just picked up my thing that said I passed my real estate exam. I was so excited. And I was in a little Honda Civic, and I came around the turn there and like hit a parked truck at like 80 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
And next thing you know, I wake up and there's an EMS lady sitting next to me. There's glass everywhere. And I was like in and out of consciousness until the hospital. And I ended up, have a scar here. I had stitches. I have screws in my ankle. And but the time I spent in the hospital, I really got into self-help books, like read all the, like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and just 7 Habits, like all the books. And, it probably helped that like I was hopped up on like morphine and pain pills. So I was like really had the head high, and I'm reading self-help books. And then when I got out of that and fully healed, Pat, how long have you been in mortgage industry?
Since 15.
15.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was 2006, pre-08 recession crash. You guys seen Big Short?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
My first development rehab, it was in Benton Park on Pennsylvania, and I was 19, and I'm talking to the lender, and they had the ninja loans back then where you don't have to
No income,
no verification. They're like,
nothing.
how much do you make a year? I'm like, $150,000. They're like, all right, check. Here's your fucking construction loan. Off to the races.
Oh, yeah.
So I gut rehab, no construction experience, gut rehab this 3,000 square foot 2-family into a single family, end up selling it for $180,000, I think making $30,000. And then I ended up doing 2 more big gut rehabs in Benton Park West before the market crashed.
So these are your first deals. Now, are you hiring
deals.
these? Are you doing like the rehab yourself in this, or you're hiring a
I
crew?
did
like,
the demo on the first ones just because it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
anybody can do demo, and I was
Sure.
young and had lots of energy. And but mostly subcontractors.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah. And then the market crashed, and like I didn't really have any cash reserves. So it was like I was borrowing money and blowing through these big ass mortgages, and to where eventually I short sailed the projects I had, and Bank of America foreclosed on one because they got actually in trouble for this back in the day for robo signing. Like I was working on a short sale with them and they robo signed it and it just went into foreclosure. So like I was basically probably $100,000 in debt then and had shitty credit and basically had to like build my way back over the next 9 or 10 years.
Wow.
It was fucking tough.
I'm sure.
Big box bank strikes again.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Crazy.
So this was like your first, how many deals? How many
I
did you
think
do
I was
before, like, the big
four
crash?
deals in, like 4 rehabs in when it crashed.
Okay.
But like it was, I'm almost glad like that was,
Talk about
this has
learning
been one of
experience.
the, oh my God.
Yeah.
One of the best educations. Like I would turn down a Harvard degree for this. It pushed me to like, I picked up a tuck pointing crew for a while and I was doing that. I was general contracting for other people. And then slowly I started getting some little bungalows and doing rehabs and just kind of building up until eventually like I met an investor. I'm like, hey, want to put up the money and we'll split the profit 50-50. So eventually I was able to start building back to the big gut rehabs that I started out doing.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
and,
cool.
And now what do you have? Now what do you got going on right now?
Well, last year I, quit gut rehabbing houses and jumped off into rehabbing a motel in Herman, Missouri.
Okay.
But
That
I also,
escalated quickly.
oh, it escalated. I didn't even think about it too. I'm like, don't mind the fact that you won't actually have an income and you're going to be living on savings for at least 12 to 18 months. Like, let's just do this cool project. And I think like one of the things about me is like, I've always liked the design aspect of rehabbing better. Like I probably could have toned my designs down and made tens of thousands more on each project because I just like building cool shit.
Oh, you do.
Mhm.
You build some really cool
Thank
shit,
you.
and I definitely want you to send Murph like some pictures of some of the cool stuff you've done, and he can kind of throw them up on the screen because
Yeah.
like the rehabs that you do are. I was telling Pat, I was like, they're not like the cookie cutter, gray vinyl plank, white kitchen, boom, like throw it up on the market that everybody likes. You see this, and it's like this unique, like.
Yeah, I
Like
was
that you
looking at
did
some
that
of the
like
pictures on
barn,
Instagram.
like the barn house that you sold
Yeah.
on.
Well, I'm gonna send him the pictures of the one. The one was Oak Hill True Value Hardware. It was like a 1-story hardware store. It'd been in business in Tower Grove South for like 30, 40 years.
Oh.
And the guy wanted to retire, so he sold me the building. And this building like took up the whole block. So there was no yard, but I rehabbed it and I kept like every finish that I picked out was like to reflect. Like I picked this oak wood out and it had like little white speckles in it to look like paint had spilt in the grains over the years. Like I had this rolling ladder rack in the kitchen and that was original that the guy had in the back.
Oh.
And I like had these little copper tiles in the bathroom to represent like him selling copper pipes and fittings and stuff like that. And then I built like a rooftop deck since they didn't have a yard. I don't know, you got to do something
Right.
to get outside. And it just, I don't know, it was a really cool project and it just kind of cemented like how much I appreciate the design aspect
Mhm.
over just making money to make money.
Right. Oh, it's super cool and super inspiring because like right now we just started on our rehab this week. So, and there's actually a handful of things I've been wanting to talk to you about because there's a couple things I'm like, I don't know, what should we do here? Should I do this? Should we not? And, I feel like my natural reaction is just to kind of go with the quick and easy one. And I'm like, oh, let's just do that. It'll be relatively, but I'm like, man, we're doing this to sell it and make a profit. And we really want to wow people when they come through. So, there's a handful of things I want to definitely
I am
chat
not
with
going to
you.
give this to you as advice, but it seems like every project that I push the design kind of limits, like I would go over budget by 50 or 100 grand. But then somehow I would be able to sell it for 50 or 100 grand over what my agent originally comped it out at. So it was always like,
Wash.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I still made the money I
Right.
originally wanted to make. But yeah, it was
But
like,
you were able to do the cool shit.
yeah, but I do not think that is a sustainable business model per se,
Right.
but it has worked for me, knock on wood. Shit.
Yeah,
A lot of leverage.
Let's not bank on it.
Go into your bank every time and being like, hey, this is the
This fucking
50th
guy.
time
Yeah.
I went over budget. Can I get some
Get
money
some.
at the end of this project? Yeah.
Well, this motel you bought, I was looking at it on Instagram, and there's some few pictures you have up there, which it looks really cool. Are you done with, or where are you at?
I am nearing the drywall stage.
Gotcha.
And maybe 75% done with the exterior.
Okay.
Hoping to be up and running late spring, early summer.
So you're gonna hold on to this and
yeah, for at least
okay.
5 years until we build some equity and could possibly sell it to a bigger entity that wants to pay more money.
Well, yeah, Herman is. Have you been to Herman? Herman's awesome. I love going to Herman.
Really. It's a cool little town, man.
Yeah,
cool little town.
Where is it?
It's
like
well,
you
down
ever
50
been to Herman?
I don't think I have.
It's an hour and a half from here, maybe.
Like down 55 or what?
No. Like you can get it to it from 70 or 44 and go through Washington.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I
I've
guarantee
driven
you- I
through
guarantee
it.
your
I've
wife's been
driven
there.
through it. I've
There's
never been there. Though.
There's a
I've never,
bunch of
like,
wineries and distilleries. It's actually like one of
They
the
got the microbrewery, the Tin Mill Brewery.
Yeah, and it's like one of the top the bachelorette party destinations in the country, because everything is in walking distance. It's pretty cool. Herman's awesome.
Well, whenever you finish this up, we'll have to make a plan a little
100%.
stay. You know.
Yes.
So how many?
I got you guys.
How many units is the motel?
23 rooms.
Okay.
23 rooms. And are you gonna is Airbnb? Are you gonna Airbnb them? Is that the plan?
So I
or-
have two partners. One is just equity and money. Another partner is going to kind of be more like running it afterwards.
Okay.
Like my equity
he's gonna,
comes
like, be-
into the construction,
Got it.
but we're also trying to kind of automate it online to where we have smart locks and to where we have a system like if people need a towel or a clean, like they can send a text out or an email and it'll be like next day. So it's not going to be a full service motel. We will have a cleaner on site because there's a house attached to the motel. So the cleaner and her family will live there, but it will not be full front desk service motel.
Got it.
So,
Sweet.
but there's like 200 plus Airbnbs in Herman.
It's insane.
No hotels or motels.
Wow.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So my game plan is to undercut them. And I feel bad saying that.
Yeah.
Why?
It's
Undercut
just
them.
business.
I also own an Airbnb, but like you have the 2-night minimum stays, you have the cleaning fee, you have Airbnb fees. We're going to have none of that. It's just going to be one decent price, stay one night, decent rate. Like
You can go to the
Yeah.
grocery store, you can go to the convenience store, but one exists to compete with the other.
Right. Damn, that sounds awesome.
I'm
So
excited.
so you've got the Herman Motel, and then I know you've got the Airbnb in Tower Grove South that we've gone and hung out at.
Yeah, the one with the pool.
Yeah, he's got this awesome Airbnb in Tower Grove South, and he's got this pool in the backyard. He's had like parties over at the for guys at the gym and stuff. But what's really cool about it is he's got this like bubble thing that you put
The
over
dome in the winter. That
Yeah.
No,
keeps
like the
heat
igloo, like
trapped
those
in.
igloos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can like swim there year round. It's freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
Like I did not set out to have that be like an Airbnb, but I always wanted an in-ground pool, but I didn't want an in-ground pool at my house. And literally during like COVID, this house popped up 4 houses down for me. And I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity to have an in-ground pool and not have it in my yard
And in the city.
in
Yeah.
the city.
Yeah.
So I got the permits and I built the pool with my crew. I paid a pool guy to come in and do the liner when we were done, but me and my daughter did the plumbing and
Really?
my carpenters framed up the sides and stuff. But, after I went over budget on this project, like I usually do, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I can't afford this mortgage. I'm like, I need to get the income coming in. So I'm like, this is going to be Airbnb. And then, so I doubled down and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put a sauna in the basement. I bought a red light therapy bed. I made a little yoga studio. I put a bunch of like self-help and spiritual books around, and I have sage and crystals and stuff. Like I'm going to make a vibe.
Yeah.
Make a vibe out of this. You got to get rid of the bad energy sometimes. But anyway, I
Like I
wanted to
told
make a
you,
vibe
he goes
out of
over the top on his rehab.
Every time I've ever seen anyone light sage, I just always think that someone left like a joint lit and they just were just being
this
really
giant
lazy about
fat
it.
joint.
I'm like, why does it smell like, you know what? I'm not going to be insulting.
I don't know,
like
it
the smell
reminds
of
me of
sage.
Catholic church growing up and
Yeah.
stuff,
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah. Had a lot of
I
that.
went over 100,000. I bought a lot of sage.
I actually thought of like the title of the episode. It's going to be The Art of Going Over Budget.
Yeah. I like that.
I'll go with that.
Yeah. I support that. I support that. So you said you're out of rehab. You're not going to be doing it. I mean, you got this Herman rehab
I
going
think
on. But
I will get back into doing some, but I had to cut the cord in order to disconnect my brain from that like flow I was in. Like there was no way for me to kind of have that step back view without putting it for a while.
Right.
So I think
Kind of like a little.
but
reset.
I've had the fortune the past, 3 or 4 years to be able to pick projects that are profitable and I think that are going to be cool. Like I don't know about you guys, but I grew up watching Ghostbusters. I always wanted to rehab a firehouse.
That'd be sweet.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's any vacant firehouses in St. Louis. But
well,
There
there,
were-
was up at
Yeah.
up at South County, right there at Lindbergh and Lee May Ferry. I think they just tore it down though.
but I need that like old New York
Yeah, I don't,
Ghostbusters
it-
vibe,
you
not
ain't getting
the
that in St.
suburbs.
Louis.
I don't want
So-
the suburban,
Yeah,
firehouse.
I would say the one in Oak. I don't know if it's still up or not.
Well, they tore down that gas station right next to it. You know, the one right by Proper Cannabis.
Yeah.
On
you know.
Telegraph.
Yeah.
No, it's right at Lee May Ferry and Lindbergh.
There's that one, but then there is like you're talking about the one that's down.
Used to be the
from-
watering bowl.
Yeah, the one-
Yes, I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about. Yeah.
So there's that one, but then there's another one further down because they just built that brand new fire station across the street from Lindbergh High School.
Yeah.
The
Is that vacant now?
the old one is, I think it's vacant, and it's literally a half a mile down the street on Lindbergh, just behind the car dealership.
Lindbergh School
But-
District.
Interesting. Can we get a Ghostbuster mobile?
Yeah, and then, but I think the one in Oakville, I'm not sure if it's still. It's been a while since I've been back to Oakville, but it's always been shut down. I always thought,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
no,
that
no,
would
they
be-
tore that down. It's a Starbucks now. They built. They
Of
tore it
course
down.
it is.
They tore it down and built.
Oh,
a
by the
fucking Star-
Deerbergs?
No,
Yeah,
no, wait, no.
it's-
I'm thinking of. I think maybe they tore down the laundromat. I don't know.
I
if they
think it
tore
was the
down-
laundromat.
Maybe it was the laundromat.
But that fire station was really like I
Yeah.
thought it was really cool looking. You just got the big front facing street for the big like two.
yeah, the two
garage
big
doors.
doors.
Then it had the long tower on
Mhm.
the right hand side, and it shot straight back.
Sounds awesome.
It was pretty
Yeah.
cool. And I was always like, man, like growing up in Oakville with not shit to do in Oakville, like, man, this would
Cruising.
be cool. This would, cruising Telegraph.
Cruising Telegraph.
And
Go
Lindbergh,
hanging,
yeah.
hanging out a Jack in the Box parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
I've been there. That was a spot to go. When
Absolutely.
I was a kid. We used to walk from St. Francis to Jack in the Box. That was like cool kids did that. We don't need our parents to drive us. Let's
Well,
just walk
Our
a mile and a half to get some fucking tacos.
Well, that was the thing. Like our Friday nights, like I'd get home from school, I'd cut the grass, I'd get $20 for cutting the grass, be able to fill up my Honda Civic
Yeah.
for like $10.
Love me a good Honda.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can eat the dollar
Yeah.
menu for a week
Leave-
straight with
leave-
$20.
Leave me $10 to
Bro,
share a case of beer.
have you
Yeah.
tried
and still have money to get a couple tacos or chicken sandwiches?
bro, inflation being what it is, have you tried buying dollar chicken sandwiches or tacos recently?
Mm-mm.
It ain't no dollar no more, fam.
There is no dollar menu anymore. No chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I haven't ordered off I haven't gone to fast food in a long time.
Yeah.
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 I don't.
No, you
I
can
don't
cut, say whatever you want.
That's
Oh, yeah.
fu- okay,
It's a
jump.
guilty pleasure of mine, dude. I hate to say it. That's why I do 75 hard so often. Is like, then I'm like, hey, guess what? I went this long without it. Super disciplined, but like, I can't help it. The hood rat in me will always love the dollar
I mean, to be
tacos.
honest though, if I'm
Buttermilk.
if
Yeah.
I'm gonna cheat, like I
Their
want to
secret
support
sauce?
my local mom and pop bit. Like
Dude,
I'm
I'm
gonna
the
go
same
get
way.
some Frankie G's wings.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I'm gonna
And
go-
a freaking
The wing ding?
burger, the cowboy burger.
Yep.
Like
But I don't hate myself for that.
Dude,
I
know.
hate myself for doing this.
Right. Well, right after we met yesterday at that house, I went. I was like, "Fuck, it's lunch. I'm gonna go over to Biggie's," and I realized that they're closed on
Biggie's
Tuesday.
still around.
Fuck yeah!
I haven't been.
Those
to
are
Biggie's.
some family friends. Or like
What's Biggie's?
Biggie's. You
I've
never
never
been to
been to
Biggie's?
it's a
Biggie's.
little
local-
dive bar, hole in the wall
Yeah,
restaurant.
it's
It's
like
been
a
around
little
for a
restaurant.
long
It's been around.
time.
So it's really good like family friends of Gina's and
Watson and Pernod, right? Kind of.
Yeah, it's right.
Ish.
Watson. It's literally we were one street down yesterday.
You just say it's kind of like a Garvey's.
yeah.
yeah.
I
A,
fucking
li-
love
little bit
Garvey's.
So it's like
nicer,
a
I guess.
family,
Step-
uh,
tad
a step
nicer.
up above.
Like they have a steak. You can
Oh,
get.
yeah.
Right. Well, dude,
Garvey's doesn't have a steak.
their steak sandwich is amazing. So yeah, it's a friend of ours, the Prices. So Jenna was in Gina's grade, and then she's got an older sister and a younger brother. Younger brother runs it. But both of her parents passed away within like 18 months or something, pretty recently. And
Wow.
yeah, it was, and so now their son runs it, and yeah, but we always try to support them, and just
And it's
really
where?
good.
You said
spot.
Watson and Pernod?
Yeah, Watson and Pernod.
Okay.
So we'll have to go there sometime.
Have
It's
you
one
guys
of my
had
favorite spots.
Golden Hoosier
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I have not.
burgers and fries?
Those are
That's
They have these
on Kings
Parmesan
Highway.
like Parmesan like rosemary
Mhm.
fries with like homemade ranch dressing.
It's
I need
so
to support
good.
more small places around St. Louis
It's
because
so
there's a few
good.
places I
We'll
like
go.
to go
We'll
that
go.
yeah, we will.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, we need.
Well,
to
that's
go
the thing.
for
Like
sure.
the local delis that we have.
Blue
Blue
City,
City.
crack.
Blue City.
Legrand's.
Yeah.
Legrand's is
Yep.
my
Nah,
spot,
Blue
man.
City, bro.
Blue City's really
Blue
good.
City's really good. I can't
That's where
hate on
Zach
it.
and I met for the very first time when we went.
Right.
We went and had lunch there.
Yeah, that
we had to
was-
sit outside
It was
because
one of the first times. I think
yeah.
the first time we
That
met.
place is always
Twi-
cranking.
Twisted- or maybe that was the
Always.
I think it was. We
Maybe you're
met.
right.
We met at the closing, and then I said at the
Yeah,
closing that we had.
Yeah, and then we're like, let's
And-
go grab lunch.
Yeah, it was like for your birthday.
yeah.
Yeah, I
you're
pulled
right.
out.
Fuck.
It was during COVID,
You're right. Yeah.
so I pulled out the table that I kept in the back of my car for closings.
Really?
That's
like a fold out
amazing.
table?
Yeah, he had like a fold up.
So-
Yeah, we used to have to do all our closings in like the parking lots of the title companies all through 2020. Like my first 7-8 months in business, I closed all the deals I did were out in the parking lot. Like they would walk the title ladies would walk their clipboard full of the documents out that have like the little tabs with
Yep.
where you sign, and we'd sign all the shit. But there was one time, oh god, it took forever to do everything because they were having to come back and forth. They spelt my buyer's name wrong. Like they got it wrong on the initial documents. They sent it back, and then 20 minutes later they came back with all the other documents. It was still wrong, and so like it took us like 2 hours for them to sign everything. It was
Holy
a
cow.
fucking nightmare.
Pat, you just gave me an idea. We should get the fold out table and go to like a Blue City deli where they don't have a lot of,
Right.
inside dining, but they have outside sidewalk.
Yeah.
But we should go a step farther and have like a really nice table cover and a vase with roses and some really nice cutlery. And
Yeah.
we'll like set up right there and the people will be like looking at us like, what are these people doing?
Yeah, we
Like
get-
the red and white
Yeah.
plaid looking
Yeah.
one. Yeah, yep. But no, that's what we did because
Yeah.
I kept because with closings were outside or in the parking lot and people were signing on the hood of the car. I'm like, this is stupid. So I just bought fold up chairs and threw some lawn chairs in the back.
Smart.
And we would sit in the parking garages or in the parking lots and do our closings that way. And I would keep a paperweight on there so shit wasn't
Yeah.
blowing everywhere.
yeah, paperweights
Because
were
that was the
essential.
biggest problem was the wind was
Wind
blowing all this
blowing your
paper
papers.
everywhere. So yeah, but yeah, we parked up and whipped out that table and
I'm
just
glad that shit is over with. That
Yeah,
was so
it was
annoying.
terrible.
So annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it felt so weird to finally be able to close inside. I was like, oh, look at us,
Right.
like, fancy. we the paperwork isn't on a clipboard.
No, it's not.
Has anybody started watching Wrexham yet?
No, what's that?
Uh-uh.
It's a
Ryan
soccer document.
Reynolds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds
Oh,
and the guy from
yeah.
It's Always Sunny
Oh,
bought
yeah,
the
yeah,
soccer
yeah.
team, but they bought it during COVID. And like when they started being able to go back to the games, the fans, like they were like super happy and shooting off fireworks. And I'm like, I remember that time where we like came out of COVID and like, just like, it's freedom. I get to taste again. This is awesome. Like, this
Right.
is amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I never take this for granted
No,
again. You
ever.
know?
No, 100%. I mean, and I just don't see shit like that happening again. To be honest, I think people have had enough of it.
yeah, definitely hope not.
I think there's going to be a tolerance level that just there's going to be certain things where it's going to be like you're going to make the announcement, but are people going to listen?
right.
Right,
Everybody's in a
100%.
second guess.
I think will be they will try
Yeah.
will try to have another lockdown again, but I think
Probably around November.
Me and Zach had this conversation at a coffee shop one time. Like we were different people at the end of COVID than we were at the beginning of COVID,
100%.
and like I think we would just be more rebellious towards what we perceive as injustices this time around. Like
Right.
it was a learning thing for us.
Well, the one thing that was pretty blatant is I guess they realized how quickly people lied and like they kind of went along with the narrative, and that was I mean it was shocking to most people, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, so let's get back to your rehabs and stuff. So you did a lot of rehabs kind of in the beginning, and that was kind of what's kind of fed, kind of been the majority of your business for like the last couple of years until recently.
Yeah.
how many rehabs and stuff would you be doing a year?
Around 10, possibly.
Oh wow.
I might finish 6 or 7, but I'd always have a bunch in the queue at one stage or another. And I've built a couple of new constructions too while I was rehabbing. One on the hill, one in Shaw.
And you're and is it mostly in the city that you're doing stuff?
Mostly in the city.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? What's the draw to the city? What is it that keeps bringing you back to the city?
History, the architecture, the restaurant scene. I mean, I'm out in Eureka now, and there's fucking no restaurant scene.
Southside's got personality.
Personality.
agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, you should
Yeah.
see the house that he recently rehabbed that he lives in. It's fucking sick.
That's awesome.
that.
We're at in Eureka.
Like 109 and FF, like on the
Okay.
Jefferson County side of the river.
Yeah.
Which is great because that
Right.
means the taxes
Taxes
are
are
lower.
cheaper.
Yeah. Well, it's just like out
You
in
know.
the middle of the woods. He's got this giant deck off the back. It's just from all the pictures.
I was
I've
actually
seen.
thinking about that on the way over here. I'm like, yes, I'm on 3 acres with woods on a hill, but that has a fucking creek. Like, I am jealous of his
I
water
know.
feature.
I
Like,
didn't
I
even-
want a creek in my yard.
I didn't
don't
even
have
realize that until I was over here the other day when
Yeah.
I was looking at it. I was like, that's fucking awesome.
It is.
Yeah,
it
well,
is.
it's super close. You know, I mean, it has gotten kind of high before, but we've never.
Well,
had it
in the
close to
summer,
house.
probably with mosquitoes, that's probably less than ideal.
If
Yeah, it's
water's
not that
running,
bad.
If the water's running,
Right.
usually mosquitoes breed in stagnant water.
It hasn't been bad, really, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but I mean,
And it looked pretty cool because it was like right after we got a snow, but it was starting to warm up. So it was like one of those things where you see like the water flowing with the snow surrounded by
Mhm.
the snow is pretty
you
cool.
can go outside and hear it. I love
Yeah.
that at night. Like
That's
you hear the water
beautiful.
running,
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I
Hear
like
the-
that.
hear the shit chirping in the woods and the water running.
The shit chirping.
Yeah, whatever's out there making that noise.
What's that
The
sound?
frogs,
The shit.
the shit,
Frogs.
the birds, the bugs, the frogs.
Did
all
you
those-
see that there's like this cicada
Oh
Yeah.
God.
thing that's going to be coming?
Yeah. Apparently they're coming back this summer.
It's like
Have a flip flop
we've
ready.
it's the one where you have like you have the shorter term cicadas and the longer term cicadas overlapping at the same time. So there's going to be like 7 months of cicadas or some shit like that.
And
I'll
we're not
never forget
we're not
that
living in
shit, man.
Revelations right now at all.
No, I mean
This is
maybe we
not a
are.
well,
Maybe we are.
I don't know. This election's already looking kind of hairy.
I was gonna
Let's
say.
not go down that rabbit hole. Right
I was gonna say of all the years
Where's the
for that to
tinfoil?
happen.
Where's the tinfoil?
Dude, I remember those the cicadas. I think it was my senior year of high school.
It was.
Yeah, it was our
Because-
senior year.
yeah.
And man, it was wild because I remember we were at it was Gina like her high school was playing for like the state championship, and we were out at the fields, what are they fucking called, off at 44 and 270 soccer park.
Soccer park.
Yeah, pretty unique name. But
What sport was she playing?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
soccer.
yeah.
Oh, at the soccer park. I remember all these like cicadas like buzzing around us, and we were like, I remember like literally grabbing them out of the air and just like spiking them on the ground and just like
Yeah.
bouncing them off the ground and like killing them because they were just literally everywhere. I mean, they were like just in front of you constantly. Like, they
It
were
was
getting swarmed.
obnoxious.
Wild.
And it was
Oh.
also like 100+ degrees out every day.
And what year was that?
Like
11?
2011.
Or
Yeah.
you know,
No, it was right when we
it
graduated
was
high
11.
school.
Yeah.
And it was the hottest summer I think I had remembered up to that point. Because, like, that's the thing about here. Like, our weather is extreme. When it's
Not
cold.
the heat, it's the humidity.
Yeah.
No, but when it's cold, it's dry and cold.
Yeah.
When it's hot, it's muggy and hot. We get like 6 weeks total of super nice weather. And during that particular summer, it hotter than it had ever been. And the cicadas, it felt like something out of Revelations.
Yeah.
It was obnoxious.
I was gone at that time, so I missed.
Lucky
all
you.
that. I missed all that.
Asshole.
yeah.
Just living it up in Dayton, Ohio.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not much better.
Yeah. So it's
When
coming
you're
back.
playing baseball, it's a great town.
Okay, that's
is
good.
it?
Oh, you played baseball in
Yeah,
college?
so I played at Missouri State and then 5 years professionally. I was with the Reds for 4 in their
Oh,
minor
yeah.
league system.
That's
So
badass.
yeah, it was awesome. I had a great time doing it. But yeah, in 11 was my first full season, and the team that I was playing for was in Dayton, Ohio, and the Dayton Dragons, which was cool because when I was there, we set the sold out record for all of professional sports. They had sold out every game since they opened the doors in April of 2000. And the owners were Magic Johnson and Archie Griffin, the only 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. Oh, it was
Damn.
cool.
That's
Sick.
freaking awesome.
So they came. I got to meet both of them, all this stuff, and you know, being in the minor leagues, you don't get great dinner, but they bought it. They bought us all steak dinners and stuff. We're like, oh yeah, we're
nice.
We're living it up, baby.
yeah, but it was cool because the stadium I hold would hold like 7,000 people, but we'd average like 8 for games because of the general admission sections out. Had a blast, and then the town itself it's a small college town, and there was so much fun stuff to do, especially like for college age kids. Obviously, the younger guys on the team probably hated it, but us guys that were older, I was a senior at that time. I was probably 22, 23, and I had a fucking blast in Dayton, Ohio. So
I didn't go to college, so when I hear all these awesome college stories, I'm like, is this something I should have did? I'm missing out.
No.
I mean,
I had the legit. I mean, I definitely had the college experience with the, go do the fraternity party every weekend. I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely had a lot of fun, but I mean, I've never used my college degree yet.
I have 3 classes until I actually have my degree. And everything I learned from a practical adult standpoint is, I mean, bro, I was a creative writing major and a literature minor.
Well, dude, I mean, to be honest, like, you are a very good writer.
But-
so, like, I mean, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, maybe you overlook
learn
how it
nothing.
helps you.
But
Maybe
I went with what I was good at without applying myself. I skipped probably 80% of my classes, still had a C average.
doesn't mean that means you're probably intelligent.
but again, I mean, did they teach you how to be creative, or is that something you had to learn on your own? Because it's like us.
They
when we-
challenged me to be creative. They couldn't teach it.
It was like us, taking the licensing exams. It's
Yeah.
not like they're teaching you how to be a good real estate agent.
No.
They're just teaching you the bullshit you need to
And
pass the
ethics.
test. Yeah.
Yeah.
I maybe it was
Love the ethics questions.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, really? You expect me to get this one wrong?
Yeah.
Should you steal the money from John Doe or should you not steal the money?
Yeah.
I'm like,
But yeah,
yeah.
all the practical shit, definitely learning how to take care of myself. You can learn that without a college degree. And I had a lot of fun and I partied stupid hard.
Yeah. We all went to Missouri State, so
Yeah.
it was-
Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Yeah.
you went to Missouri State too?
Me and him were there at the exact same time.
Yeah, we didn't know each other, though.
Oh.
Yeah, I was out. I
I
already
remember
out
when
by
it
the-
was still called Southwest Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
after
right
our-
before
that
I
was
got
after
there.
our day.
Yeah, that was right before
That
I
was
got
before our
there.
day.
Yeah, before our day.
Yeah.
It was
Before our
Mo
day.
State.
Yeah.
That's all I
Drop
remember.
why make it Southwest? Like just make it Mo State.
I mean, Mo State sounds.
Yeah.
Sounds more like
They wanted
the
to,
one.
No, they
We
did.
used
They
to-
wanted
we-
to get
when-
rid of that regional tie like SEMO is. They wanted to be the state school, so they dropped it.
We're
Yeah.
the state school.
Whenever,
Yeah, we're the
whenever we were
States.
there, me and my buddies tried to make it like a cool, like, oh, let's try to get like just calling it just state. Yeah, we go to state.
That did-
it
did
didn't
not
take
catch
off.
on.
It didn't catch.
Stop trying to make fetch
But
work.
that was our. We were trying to get that to stick, and it didn't work.
Or start calling it the Missouri
Yeah,
State.
the Missouri State.
Ohio State's gonna come down and be like, look, no.
Your football team is what?
Yeah.
You have one?
Actually where I wanted to go, but unfortunately if you live out of state, it's $40,000 a year.
That's where my mom went for a semester before she got kicked out.
I would have loved to get kicked out of Ohio State.
So my little brother went to Missouri State probably around the same time that you did.
What's your younger
Jake
brother's name?
Baldwin.
You know what?
We know each other. I played hockey with your brother.
You get the fuck out of here. I knew you looked familiar.
Here we are again,
Yeah.
the St. Louis
Crazy.
one person removed
The
thing.
St.
Holy
Louis
shit.
State
I
School.
was was thinking because
Yeah.
he had a bunch of friends at
Yeah.
fucking Oakville, same year as you.
Right. And so,
Interesting.
yeah, no, I grew up playing hockey at Afton with Jake.
Damn.
How's he doing? What's he up to?
He died in
Oh,
2000.
shit. Fuck.
Yeah, I know, right?
Fuck.
This took a dark turn. Died in 2013 from an overdose.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no problem. But I do miss the African American days.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
like,
we played together for a long time. It was, I'd say him and I started playing hockey together probably end of elementary school all the way through
did you
middle
know
school.
Timmy Gardner?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. All those
Okay.
guys.
Like I still have this weird allegiance to the African Americans, and I talk shit on little kids that they're playing for Merrimack Sharks. I'm like,
Yeah.
Merrimack Sharks.
Right?
Fuck that bullshit sticker on that minivan.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
but a lot of that shit's changed now. Like so in my neighborhood, I got a lot of younger kids that are all playing hockey, and they're with where I'm at is Kirkwood, but they combine. So like Central States was just coming around when we were playing, and but now there's multiple Central States leagues or teams
Really?
in St. Louis, but they combine them. So like Afton has a team, but it's Afton, Merrimack, and I think one other team that combine into
Really?
yeah, and then there's another one that's Kirkwood, Chesterfield, and Creve Coeur, and then another one that's St. Peter's and those teams.
Didn't Nick Curran play for African Americans?
Uh huh. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Nick
That's what I thought.
played for a bunch of different stuff. I think Nick was like the way Nick is with jiu-jitsu now. He was that way with hockey growing up. From what it sounds
African
like.
Americans were like, it was like the kind of like lower middle working class team.
Yep.
You know, in my mind, it was
Yeah.
like, but
I had
But
some
But
people-
those
some friends
uniforms
with-
were awesome.
I heard that the
like classic. Like
I
USA
heard that
looking
squirts can't check anymore.
it was we didn't start checking until we were peewees.
Maybe it's Pee like they took away checking for one of the younger tiers. And I was actually heard somebody's argument. It was like kids, since their bodies can heal quicker
Yeah.
and they're learning how their body works, like they need to be checking at a younger age. So by the time they're adults, they know how to check correctly and not injure themselves.
But that was the thing, because we would always go up to Canada. It's like that's how it is across the U.S. But once you get into Canada, I remember going up there as a mite and like they start teaching them how to properly check as a mite.
They probably teach them how to fist fight.
Yeah, that's true. But it was full on contact, full checking as a squirt, and we would go up there and play at that age, and none of us are used to being checked or to hit. And it just, I mean, it was rough for us. We would get our asses kicked.
My favorite
Eye-opening
hockey to
experience.
watch was the squirts.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't check yet. And there was this aggression.
Uh-huh.
Anytime you would touch the team's goalie, there would be a fist fight. So even though there was no checking,
right.
there was a fist fight
Yeah.
every minute. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah. So mites, so just for reference, mites were what, like 3rd, 4th grade?
I think so.
So, and then squirts were 5th and 6th. Pee-wee was middle school. And then bantams. And bantams were freshman, sophomore. Then midgets
Yeah.
were the
Offensive term.
I was just thinking that.
How dare you?
not me. Hey, go after those hockey people that created these names. But yeah, so, but yeah, that was so like, yeah, I mean, just really young kids and teaching them. If you teach them at a young age and they're learning, it's going to make the game safer as they get older.
For sure.
100%.
You know, I just remember when I was playing, mite hockey, that being a bigger guy, I was just kind of more physical.
Right.
And I was always leading the team in penalty minutes. I mean, granted that continued all the way through my career, being one of the bigger guys out there and leading the team in penalty minutes.
Did Tom Cooper go to Oak?
Yeah.
You know Tom?
Oh,
Cooper?
yeah, I know Tom.
Yeah.
I remember going
All
to
those
Mardi
guys.
Gras with him in Sealard. It was freaking insane.
I'm
So
sure. Oh yeah, the whole we had a lot of fun with them and over at their place. So
I also feel like when you're young, like your body's just like more pliable, and like I feel like it's harder to get hurt.
right.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm always
absolutely.
getting injured in jiu-jitsu. It's a little.
Well, I think that's part of getting older. I think that's part of getting older. Speaking of jiu-jitsu, when did you get into that? What got you into jiu-jitsu? 'Cause, for those of you that don't know, Nick and I trained together, so
Yeah.
same gym.
I was like in a really like unhealthy place in my life, and I really wasn't working out yet. And I never like my mind does not want to lift weights because it's like doing this repetitious, monotonous task over and over. And I remember, so when I moved into my barn house in Tower Grove South, I had this driveway, and the neighbor kept like creeping, like every day his car would be like inching farther and farther into blocking my driveway. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And I feel like I called a friend about it, and the friend's like, hey, man, just be cool, introduce yourself. So I see him parking one day, and I get out to go introduce myself. I'm like, hey, my name's Nick, and like, my name's Nate. I'm like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? And he's like, yeah, I teach MMA. And I was just like, oh shit, I'm glad I didn't start shit with this guy. But then we ended up becoming really good friends. Nate Otis, he hasn't been to the gym for a while, maybe a year and a half or so. Blue belt, short.
Yes, yeah.
Anyways, but he had been training at North Broadway for like 7 years. And I'm like, hey, can I get some one-on-ones? So I was going up there getting one-on-ones with him.
At South Broadway.
Yeah, North Broadway.
North Broadway. Yeah.
And then eventually he had a falling out and ended up at Watson's. So I'm like, so I'm going to Watson's, and I'm so happy that happened
Dude,
because
The
at
best
Zach,
place, man.
so many great friends. So great. I love that place. I really do.
Murph's there now too.
I seen the story. I wasn't sure where.
Yeah,
Though.
he was
I'm
there
on-
last night, right?
Yeah, I'm on the dark side though.
What do you mean?
Because the Muay Thai.
I'm doing Muay Thai.
Well, didn't
Oh,
you?
you
Weren't you in
guy.
jiu-jitsu last night or no?
No, I was in Muay Thai.
Oh.
Everything I've done the last few days has been Muay Thai, and I think what my thing is that I'm forever going to be that 13-year-old who drank too many monsters, who likes to punch and kick things.
Yeah.
I think that's my kiddie pool. Getting back into like grappling is like that's the thing that will always be easy for me to do. It takes me a little bit extra to like get so close with people in jiu-jitsu. So
It's engaging. Like when I found jujitsu, it was like it was so mentally engaging. You forget you're working out almost, which
for sure.
is beautiful about it. You
I
know?
mean, it's hard to forget that you're working out, but
Yeah,
I know
no,
I
I'm
totally
out of
agree.
breath.
You're having so much fun.
What the fuck do you mean?
Yeah.
That like it doesn't feel like working out. I mean,
Although I feel bad because like I think 75% of the time Kyle is talking and coaching and showing drills like I'm daydreaming about business and real estate shit. So literally the only like actually present moment I have is like the last 15 or 20 minutes when we're going live. You know, that's
Really?
probably why my game doesn't progress the way it should be progressing.
yeah. Well, man, that's the one thing that like I really focus on trying to be like present when I'm there, and like it's like the only time of the day that I'm not like attached to this thing, and it's not running my life. So I really like whenever I'm there and I'm on my feet are on the mat, like I'm really fucking there, and that's really like all I'm thinking about.
Well, if you're not present when you're going live with someone, that's when
Well, yeah,
injuries
you're gonna
happen.
That's like a cold plunge. That's like forced presence. You can't not be present when you're going live. It's just
You have to be, otherwise
all your instincts kick in. It's like fight or flight. Like
The second you're not paying attention to something, you're getting choked for sure. You're
100%.
you're getting passed and you're getting choked and you're in trouble if you're not paying attention. That's my favorite thing about it. Is it just, or one of my favorite things about it is like I can really, the whole rest of the world shuts off whenever I'm on that mat. And I can.
But the point that Joe Rogan said a couple years ago is that as far as real life simulation of practicality, because people will make jokes about jujitsu, why would I learn that if I could just stand up? It's like, I mean, dude, 100% of the fights you get into are going to end up on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And in those live rolling sessions, it really does clearly dictate if your life is on the line and this person knows more than you, they're going to win. You're going to lose.
I think the only caveat would be like you're fighting multiple people.
Right. Yeah.
Because all of
And
my
again,
childhood street fights did end up on the ground and I didn't know grappling for shit.
For
you
sure.
know? But like, yeah.
But if it's a one-on-one situation,
perfect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One-on-one, no weapons.
run
I
away if
feel-
you can. I mean,
Or-
still.
Or if you're John Wick and you can, no, I'm just
That was my dog.
But one of the things that's great about jiu-jitsu is, you can go 100% at each other every single day and pretty much.
Yeah, Jocko Willing said
You're
that
not
a long
getting
time ago. It's
You're
so
not getting
beautiful.
hurt most of the time, whereas you can't kickbox spar every single day. Otherwise, you'll be brain
Even with
dead.
the headgear on. Yeah, you
you're
can't
gonna
take the
you're
hits.
gonna get, you can't just keep getting punched in the face because you're gonna have some mental problems. Whereas I can go 100% full bore jujitsu, like we can grapple as hard as we want, and both of us can walk away from there with no injuries.
Oh, for sure.
And with kickboxing and fighting and spar, like that kind of sparring, it's you're definitely kind of gambling. And
Kyle said like a while back was like, because a lot of people are like, oh, gi and sport jujitsu is like, is it really applicable to a street fight? And he's like, absolutely. He's like, distance management. Like, if all you take away is distance management, he's like, you're going to be in a way better place.
I can take someone's back regardless if they have lapels or not. Like I think you should have a good base of grappling.
Also, too, if you can go knee on chest and lay some punches down, it's like that knee on chest balance that you learned in grappling is going to.
Well, all the positions that you get scored points for in jiu-jitsu are all positions that are advantageous if you were in a fight. You get points for passing the guard, you get points for knee on belly, you get points for being in the mount and rear mount. Like these are all positions that if I wanted to like lay down some strikes, I could easily do it from all of those positions.
At the end of the day, being well versed in anything gives you an edge in self-defense. Like if you know wrestling, you're still dangerous.
I mean, even if you can dance around with a guy and not get out of breath before he does, you're probably going to win the altercation.
100%. That's everything, man. Because what's the saying? Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Like, 'cause the second that someone loses that gas tank, like for example, I was training with a guy last night, and he's a newer guy, but I know he's competing here soon, and he was just very, very gassed, very, very quickly. Bro, like, you gotta control this gas tank. We got if you're gonna be competing in 3 weeks with everybody, like we gotta ramp this thing up, because like if you can't get through this 5-minute match without huffing and puffing, you're gonna have some problems.
this other
'Cause, I
guy's
mean, we were-
actively trying to knock you out of the competition.
right. So-
My cardio's trash.
Well, that's the hardest thing. And I mean, I always see people, just because I teach that class upstairs.
Yeah.
And, I'll have a lot of friends that'll say like, oh, hey, I need to come in and try a class, and but I just really need to get in shape first. And I'm like, bro, like I see marathon runners come in and like try jujitsu, and they're still like out of breath. It's a different
It's way
kind of
different.
shape.
Also, there's like, it's like having a kid. There's no right time. Like,
No.
just
No.
do it. There's
You
no
need to,
right
like,
time to
show
start a
up.
business. There's no
Right.
right time to start. Just do it.
You just need to show up and start moving, because like it's about being efficient with your movements and like knowing what to do more than like having the
Yeah,
gas
if
tank. I
the
think.
most efficient person at jujitsu probably isn't exerting themselves as much as the next guy.
Roll
So that
with
is the
Kyle.
point.
Yeah, go roll with Kyle or Trevor, and we're black belt coaches at our gym, and like, like I could be going as hard as I can, and they're just very remaining calm and like not really phased by anything because they know what I'm gonna do 3 steps before I actually do it.
I envy them, but at the same time, I'm like, this is my only workout for the week. I need to exert myself.
Right. No,
I need to jump
100%.
around like a squirrel.
Yeah, 100%.
And the-
No, they're different kinds of humans, that's for sure.
Well, I'm just that, but like the energy system it's going to pull from. Jarrett Bond really well. Okay, Jarrett Bond was a wrestler his whole life. That's a lot of power output. He does CrossFit. You got to be all kinds of things. But you ask Jarrett Bond, hey, run long distance. It's his one weakness. So one thing doesn't always transfer over to the other. When I was doing a lot of running, it didn't transfer over to a gas tank for jiu-jitsu.
No, it definitely doesn't. Like
Running
you think it will.
sucks.
It does.
Running does. Okay.
It's good
But-
mentally, though.
No,
It's
it's
good
that's the
mentally.
only reason we would do it for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it helped flush out some shit, but more it was so like after if you had a bad outing, a long run was great because you could just
Do love a good runner's high.
absolutely.
I mean, I feel like when I was wrestling and trying to cut weight, I mean, cutting weight, I mean, running was the way that I would cut weight, but I thought it was also kind of like a mental thing too, more than anything. 'Cause it
Mhm.
just gave me kind of like, I'd be like mentally sparring in my head, kind of.
Yeah.
That's
I'd
where
be
the
like,
demons
Do you ever
run
do
with
the shadow boxing when you're running?
No.
No shadow
Rocky
boxing.
style?
Yeah. No, I've never been much of a striker. I mean, I did Muay Thai for
Well, sometimes my arms just get like tense when I'm running, and I just like
Yeah,
You
gotta
I'm like,
shake
listen,
it
if I'm
out.
gonna shake my arms, I may as
Right.
well like
Yeah.
do some punching motions and
Yeah.
feel cool about it.
for sure.
I mean, for us, like with baseball, we had time 2 miles that we ran in spring training and in college, but it was
Well,
push
what-
us
What
push
was
us.
the best time?
So in pro ball, it had to be less than 15 minutes, and you're running in Arizona heat, dry heat. Yeah,
Damn, so 7.5 minute miles.
Yeah, and then in college, you would just have to beat your previous time. So I fucked up as a freshman. And
Came out like a
you
hero.
went all
well, me and this other freshman, we were like, he was another pitcher, and we were always in competition with one another. And he was also, and at the time, I was a really good runner. And so we were putting up like 13, 14 minute 2 miles. So we had to beat it every single time. By the time we got done with that freshman year, I was running like 12-minute 2 miles. I was hauling ass.
Dude, that's
But I was
tough.
also at that time, I was like 6'1" and maybe 205 pounds.
Oh.
I was, but long and lean and was able to just go. But I learned quickly after that. I'm like, you know what? This first 2 mile, I'm just going to take my time.
Take my time.
The coach would be like, I know you're better than that. So instead of, like, I'd go out and run it in like 17, 18 minutes. He'd come back and like, no. 15 minutes or less for you. You've already proven that you can run it faster than
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
So get your ass, yeah. So get your ass back to that. And I'm like, fuck. After 1 year, freshman put on that
Yeah,
weight.
the
and
freshman 25.
trying, yeah.
that's what
I mean, you're
did.
still working out and training, but at the same time, you're also trying to put more weight on and get stronger, and be putting on more weight and getting stronger, as well as just the shit food that you're eating and putting on weight that way.
That dorm food.
Getting heavy and running is not fun. So, but yeah, it was. But like I said, it was all just to test us mentally. Like, it didn't give a shit how good a shape. Like, it wasn't for being in shape. We're not running long distance in baseball. I mean,
Yeah,
even
90 feet.
yeah,
right? Isn't that the-
even as like a starting pitcher, like, yeah, that takes some endurance, but it's basically, I mean, a pitch is a sprint. So
See, that's why I've never understood marathon running. I'm like, where in practical life do you need to run a marathon? Like,
Yeah.
if anything, you need to, like, if you're on a battlefield, you need sprints.
Yeah.
You need sprints, maybe a mile run to
Mhm.
get to the next battalion. There's no reason you should be running
Well,
marathon distances.
Well, humans have that's like one of our advantages compared to a lot of animals on the planet is our ability to
we
run.
don't get gassed.
Yeah, we have an ability to run long distances, and that's how we used to like chase our prey down, supposedly.
I don't have to
You
do
know,
that
like,
shit
the,
anymore.
like the cheetah would like wear out.
Right, the
go
cheetah
fast,
wears,
but
yeah,
then would
the
wear
cheetah
out.
eventually wears out, and us,
Interesting.
jogging behind it eventually catches up to it. And
I
is able
forgot
to
there
kill
was a
it.
time period where we didn't ride horses.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Being a bipedal, conscious human being, like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously we don't have to do that now, But
Thank God.
I mean,
But I mean,
it's-
really, back
we're
then,
not
were
that
they-
much different than we were, physically. Like as humans, we're not much different than we were 1,000 years ago.
But were we really running and chasing after them, or was it like a hunt where you're trying to
Setting traps,
outmaneuver,
or,
or,
outsmart them.
You know, even then, like,
I mean, I don't
but
know. I
even
wasn't
still,
there.
yeah, we weren't there. We
I
won't
wasn't
know.
there, but that's what I've been told. So I'm going off that.
Did you ever see they have a video fight simulation of like a caveman with like early Homo sapien,
Hmm.
and it was like in a street fight, like who would win, and the
Like
Neanderthal was shorter and way more muscular and overpowered the Homo sapien early, but gassed out quick. And the video simulation, the Homo sapien ends up winning. I don't know how true the video.
Yeah, I was gonna say who made this video. This guy
It's on
seems like a
YouTube
Homo
somewhere.
sapien made the fucking video. But
Yeah,
clearly
right.
we won. 'cause
This
we're
is
still here.
biased. This is clearly biased.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that they said that the Neanderthals were, like 5'7", like 200 pounds, like just like
I think they were-
thick-boned.
Yeah.
like,
But
They
I
were
mean,
short. Yeah.
if any of us went after like a chimpanzee, we're getting tossed. We're done.
Oh, they
yeah.
tear each other's limbs off.
Yeah,
well,
that's
they go for the
insane,
things
bro.
that you love first. They start biting off
Oh.
your fingers and your genitals. That's
Oh.
the first things they go for.
Oh.
Because they know that that's what's important to you. They take away the things that make you a human.
Vindictive little bastards.
Yeah, they go after your face. They go after your face, your fingers, and your genitals first.
I
And
am
any-
so
any chimp-
happy to live in the Midwest, where relatively you can swim in any body of water and there's not something in there that's going to kill you, and there's not animals that are really going to hunt you. Like, oh man,
My last girlfriend, who was from California, she's like, "So can we go swimming in the Mississippi?" I'm like, "Fuck no."
That's disgusting.
that
You
might be an
can, but
exception,
you-
but
you
there's no
can't.
crocodiles that are going to come up
Yeah.
and get you while you're swimming in the Mississippi.
There's some other shit in there that I don't want to catch neither, though.
No,
I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's
there's-
just well, just here in St. Louis, because I played summer ball in Quincy for 1 year, and those people love getting in the Mississippi River up there.
well
Mm.
up
It's
by
so-
Alton and Graff.
it's
yeah,
so clean. It is like, I mean, they're boating and rafting and jumping in and swimming.
I think we're just used to like the JB Bridge downtown St. Louis,
True.
Mississippi,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
that we're like
Yeah.
the
Ugh.
current's
Just
tough,
like
like
a
the undercurrent.
yeah.
There's a
and, like,
casino right there
it's
by the east
brown.
side.
It is. Looks like
Probably
just
dumping shit into
toxic
the water.
sludge. Just
I used to have nightmares as a kid that like I fell off the Jefferson Barracks Bridge and fell into the Mississippi and
Oh,
the undertow
gosh.
got me.
Really?
yeah, that's all, what we were always preached: the undertow, the
Mhm.
undertow.
A fish will come out with feet.
Mm.
The old
Yeah.
catfish. Yeah, one time a shark made it up the Mississippi River. You
Right.
hear
The,
that
the
too?
bull shark.
Yeah.
They made it up
The one
Mississippi.
bull shark.
Yeah, I was
one.
about to
The
bring
one.
that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows if
Piranha
that's
in the
even
Lake
true.
of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
You remember hearing that one?
Yeah, I heard that.
Wasn't that one true, though?
I don't know.
I did
Well, dude,
hear.
piranhas like that is they don't do what they do in the cartoons. Like, I mean, I think I don't think they attack humans, do they?
I'm pretty sure if you put your face in water that houses piranha, you will be less one face.
I
I don't know. Yeah, that
If
might
it
be a
depends on
wives'
how
tale. I don't
hungry
know.
they are. I
That's
mean,
true.
I'm not.
Are you
I think that was-
bleeding? I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like a blood thing.
I will
I
put.
do think at the lake though, right? A friend of a friend, scuba diver, like went diving down by the dam and seen a catfish so big, like I'll never go down there again. Like it was a shark-sized catfish.
Oh wow.
So not super aggressive, but
Right.
it's just like if you're down there in the dark and you see these monsters,
Yeah.
like
Nope.
you
Oh,
know,
dude, I've
so-
pulled. I've caught some catfish.
Some
that
noodles?
Are, I mean,
Yeah, noodling.
big ass ones before. Like my buddy Shane, he's got a place that's like it's like in High Hill, Missouri. It's like an hour and 10 minutes away, and his family's got like 100 acres out there, and they have this like man-made pond that they made, and they like filled it full of fish, and this is several years ago now, so a lot of these fish have like grown. And anyway, we used to fish during the days, and then at night a couple times we would save all the like fish guts and fish heads, and we had these like glow in the dark bobbers, and then we'd put the fish heads on the bobbers and go like throw them all out there. And so we'd have like 10 of these bobbers, and all of a sudden you see them getting like ripped underwater, and you see these glow in the dark bobbers like zipping back and forth, and you'd pull out these monster catfish. And it
Sounds like
was
Jaws.
Fucking awesome. It was really cool. We only did it a couple times, but
Yeah, like the people that fucking go noodling, they just
Dude,
shove their whole
shove
hand.
their hand in a hole.
I'm so terrified of venomous snakes. I would never like you stick your hand.
Snakes
thank
don't
you.
scare me. Like I understand that they're super dangerous, but for some reason they don't creep me out as much as like spiders.
Yeah, same, same.
I don't know, man.
Can't do spiders. Snakes, not a problem.
My dad once said he was going to surprise me
don't
with a
know.
tarantula, and I'm like, if you do, I will run away.
Oh
No.
man,
Fuck
I
away
think
from
I
me.
would rather go up against a spider than a snake.
Fuck no.
I see. I feel like neither of them.
And I just got bit by a brown recluse a couple months ago, and like
If I can,
got
if I
bit-
can kill
I
something
got
with my
bit by one
foot,
on my
I'm not that
face.
scared of it.
I'm not bird eating spider.
That shit they have in Australia. Holy
I still feel like
shit.
I could
I was
step
gonna
on
say that.
it.
Is that in the US?
Oh,
I'll
it's
ne-
just- imagine if it's stretched out as big as that 4-leaf, that clover
Yeah.
right there.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
that's what they
It
have
can
in
eat a full-grown bird.
Give me a shovel.
I feel like Australia has the most venomous
jumps at
snake
you.
and the
Yeah, like-
most venomous
I wish.
What was it?
a spider, the only venomous mammal. Like it is like
It's just all
Australia was just built to either make you a servant to that island or
Well, I
kill
mean,
you.
shit. You go look at the actual population of it. It's just really along.
Well, it's
The
a prison
coast.
colony. You know the origin story of
Yeah.
of
Still is.
Australia.
the
It's
penile colony for you
for the
United
Brit.
Kingdom.
Yeah, well, that's what a Australian accent is. It's essentially like a drunken English accent.
Yeah.
For real. If you really think, if
Yeah.
you listen to it, that's what it sounds like. But that's what
Interesting.
you know. It was a like prison colony
Yeah.
for like British people. They basically you're off or dropping you off here, and then they basically created their own society, and here we are, hundreds of years later, and.
Thanks for Steve Irwin.
Well, and
Mhm.
all the stuff stays around the coast. Like they don't have anything in the middle of it. It's just a.
I seen Crocodile Dundee. I know.
Yeah.
What
They also disarmed their population,
Right.
so it
And
actually
they
is
sent
a
them to
prison country.
concentration
Exactly.
camps during COVID. Yep,
Right.
I've seen that too.
100%.
We did what we had to do.
That is a
All
great
right.
reason for the Second Amendment. You
Yeah.
know,
100%.
Yeah.
Nick and I have done some cool deals lately. We're doing
a
these
little wholesale projects.
well,
yeah.
I think technically they're called wholesales.
Wholesale.
That's
Is-
what I looked that up. It's
Okay.
actually called as wholesale is when you put a property under contract.
like a
and
flip
it's-
in the contract.
Yeah, where you
Gotcha,
essentially
gotcha.
sell the contract, whereas we've actually closed on the properties, and then usually what we've done is clean them out and then resell them
Okay.
for a
Whole
little
tail.
bit of a whole tail. So
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Brian. Right?
yeah, we did the one with
Interesting.
Brian, and we just had another one close yesterday. But these have been
Nice.
pretty sweet little deals, and
Definitely gonna try and do more.
yeah, we got one on the radar.
we
We're
got
trying
some
to-
leads.
There you
Yeah,
go.
so we just need to figure out if this lady's alive or dead.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Well, we're that's something we're working on right now. We're getting our private investigator hats on and trying to figure out.
Right. If anybody knows, process server, let us know.
Yeah, process server. If somebody does like
Genealogy.
yeah, genealogy. It's a whiz on Ancestry.com. We're trying to track down some relatives of these people. So, but yeah, so
We will pay well.
yeah, we're trying to get some more deals like this because they've been really fun and great little deals. So, I mean, have you ever done any like this before?
Yeah, some, but it always felt like the St. Louis market was oversaturated with wholesalers. It's just like, how many letters do you get from people like We Buy Ugly Houses? And it's like the margins are like tighter. If you want to not send the letters out, you just need more of a infrastructure, and you need to chase down more leads to get them before you have to send the letters out, whether that's probate or tax sale. And then even like I've bought some tax sale properties from the St. Louis city. And in the early days, there would be like 40 people on the courthouse steps bidding against each other. And then fast forward to now, it's like 500 people packed
Mhm.
trying to buy these properties for pennies on the dollar. And it's like an auction bidding. So it's like they get bidded up
Real quick.
or they get paid off the day before. So it's like you just did all that legwork and the property you wanted, not even on the auction anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's tough. I've never done the whole buy a house on the courthouse steps before.
me
That's-
and Zach are going to go this summer.
there you go.
yeah,
That'll
we're
be
gonna-
fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to go do that, so that'll be something we're gonna
Maybe
do.
we can wear suits and we'll like have a
Yeah.
southern accent.
Yeah.
Cowboy
Yeah.
hats.
Yeah.
Cowboy hats, cowboy boots.
What's the
Bolo
the
tie.
bolo tie.
Yep.
Yeah. Walk in
We're-
Cigars,
we just
cigars.
wandered up here from the south and we're here to
Show
get some
up
real
with
estate.
Show up with a Cadillac with like longhorns on the front. You know?
Bumping UGK.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Sick.
Rest in peace, Pimp C.
Cigars
Oh,
and
these guys are old south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old south.
or just massive chaws.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what's the future hold for Nick?
Got to get this fucking motel done first because it's eating up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I quit rehabbing houses, I think, was because I seen a lot of developers around me start out early in the rental property game. It's like, fast forward 10 years and it's like you're making passive income. And it's like I've always went for the non-passive income. And I kind of regret not, even though I like doing cool designs, and you really can't do cool designs on a rental property just
Not
because
profitable.
it's not profitable. It was like I kind of regretted not building up at least a one property a year portfolio. So kind of me going after the motel and some future like Airbnb short-term rental projects is like me trying to make up for that lost time. Because I think by doing very cool and unique short-term rentals that you can have the passive income and still get top dollar. Because in the Airbnb market, people are paying for cool designs and unique stays. So I think that's a lane that I can fit in. And I do have one top secret
I was
project
gonna
coming
say,
up
can we
that
talk
I'm
about
not going to
this or
say,
no?
but when you guys bring me back on your podcast, when it's actually plans are approved, I will announce the project on your show.
Yeah, let us
Hell
know
yeah.
when it's
And
ready.
me
I
and
know what
Murph
it
are going to
is.
be working together. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So fingers crossed that the city approves this crazy
Dude, it's
Airbnb idea.
It's a super cool idea. It'll
That's
be
awesome.
the only thing like it in St. Louis. That's for damn sure.
Only thing in the world.
In the world, like
In
it,
the
really.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh, wow.
it's fucking sweet. Like
Yeah.
you showed me some
And
plans and
and
stuff.
I should be submitting the plans within the next 30 days. So hopefully
Very
have an
cool.
answer
Fingers crossed
soon.
for you,
That's
buddy.
awesome.
Thank you.
That's-
So I just want to build cool shit wherever that path leads me in the real estate field. We will see.
No, I know a builder down in Arnold that was strictly residential building, and he's getting out of it, and now he's building apartment complexes because he.
Oh,
does-
that's
yeah.
great too. Yeah.
So he's just because, like you said, he's going to make more money housing these massive apartment complexes that he's building himself, and versus building single family homes. Like, I mean, he'll have instead of building subdivisions and doing that, he's got passive income now on
Smart.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You should send them out to Herman. They're like desperate for an apartment complex
I'm sure.
out there.
I'm sure.
The city would like roll out a red carpet for that guy. Seriously.
Why don't you do that? Time.
Well, like I said before,
Yeah.
like you really can't do cool designs.
No,
It's like
it's
you
gotta
kind of
be-
have to have like you can make it nice, but it still has to be the same in builder grade. Like I've never wanted to go build a subdivision full of all the same houses except for the siding. Like that's never been like that's not where I want to make my money. That doesn't wake me up every day and I'm like,
Right.
I want to go build a track subdivision. I'm like,
Right.
no, like I want to do cool designs. Like I want to design on the fly. Like my team were like, we get the architect plans approved and then like we're not picking out fixtures until like the walls are up. We're designing, like we make changes, especially when you got an old brick house. Like you open that up and it's like the old brick walls move in and out in ways you can't even foresee. And it's like little nooks. You got to shift the staircase over. There just ends up being cool architectural features that you can build in that you didn't even plan on. So,
Well,
it's just
especially
exciting.
in all these South City houses that
Oh,
we've
yeah.
been doing. I mean, all these old South City houses are 100+ years old, and they've all got these like really cool features to them, or at least a lot of them do.
Oh, yeah.
Or like these like unique, like I'm selling a duplex right now, and just like the brickwork on the outside, it's just fucking gorgeous.
Could not replicate that for
No.
a decent price.
No
Yeah.
way, no way. It would cost a fortune if. I mean, if you hired a mason to do that kind of shit, it would cost you a fortune. Yeah. But anyway, one other thing I wanted to chat with you about. I know you're real into, you've done some psychedelic experiences. I'd love to, kind of hear some more about that kind of stuff. So as much of that you want to share. That's stuff like that's always fascinated me. I've done some of my own kind of trips, I guess you could say, back in
Yeah.
college, but not nothing like
Little
on the
magic
level.
mushrooms and
Yeah,
stuff.
just I've taken a couple heroic doses of mushrooms back in the day, but nothing. It's been a lot of years since I've even done that. But I just know that that's kind of you're a proponent of that, so it's something.
Oh,
I thought
big
you'd-
proponent, big proponent.
Yeah.
To go back to earlier where I was like, my little brother passed away from like an overdose. Like a year before he passed away, he was also diagnosed with like schizophrenia. So when he passed away, like I was already kind of doing pain pills now and then because when I got my car accident, I had arthritis in my ankle already. So it's like when he died, I was just like, went into full blown like 2 years of abusing pain pills, snorting 200 milligrams of Oxycontin, like snorting
Oh, wow.
Xanax to go to bed. And, after 2 years of like eating like shit and being depressed and abusing drugs, it was like, while still running a business. I don't know how I pulled that off. But anyway, I just like hit a breaking point where I'm like, something's got to change. And I had this therapist at the time. She's like, hey, I can get you into this high achiever, like Narcotics Anonymous group. And in my mind, I'm like, no. I'm like, that's not for me. Like, I don't want to sit and mope around with a bunch of guys and reinforce there and be like, "Well, my name's Nick. I'm an addict." I'm like, no, I'm gonna rewire my brain to not be an addict. So like I quit cold turkey, and then I was keeping a mental tally. Like every day I would go without doing a pain pill, it was this rope tightening and getting stronger and stronger. So I was like mentally rewiring my brain to where after 3 or 4 months, it was just like, didn't. Yeah. And then it's like, I'd always been into self-help, but I started leaning more into, like spirituality and also like functional medicine books. Mark Hyman, The Ultimate Mind Solution. Highly recommend that. That was the first book that kind of sent me down the functional medicine
What was that again?
rabbit hole. Ultimate Mind Solution by Mark Hyman. So it's like then after that, I think maybe like I got into jujitsu. So it's like that started helping my mental health. I cleaned my diet up. That started helping get over like the depression and stuff. And I think one time I went down to a cabin, 2 of my friends, and they got some mushrooms and they're like, hey, we're going to do some mushrooms. And I'm like, with schizophrenia and bipolar, like and depression, like kind of like in my family. And I'm like, I think this is a loaded gun. I don't think I should do it. And like 11 o'clock on Saturday, we're at the cabin at the park, and spring too, freaking nice mist. And they're breaking out the mushrooms and dividing them half. And I was like, Googling, I'm like, will this mess with you if you are prone to, mental illnesses?
You'd never done mushrooms prior to this?
I did like a small dose. I actually grew some, like, just to sell them, like maybe 5 or 6 years before that, but I never did them. And I'm like, the last minute, I didn't want to be left out. I'm like, cut me in. So they divide it in thirds instead of 2. And I take them, and it was just a very beautiful experience. My friend, whose idea it actually was to do them, actually ended up having a fucking horrible time. And I kind of
I've been there.
Like I'm like running after this guy. Luckily at the state park in this cabin, we were at the very end. It was early. It was like April. So there really wasn't, and there was like a light rain. Fucking beautiful, but not many people around.
Mm-hmm.
This dude's like, he's freaking out and he's running down the trail. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta run after this guy. So I got a certain kind of like, I was able to reinforce kind of like some leadership qualities that I have from my business by like looking after him. But it was just like, it's hard to explain. But like after that experience, it was like, I was sold. Like I listened to some more Terrence McKenna and Paul Stamets. Joe Rogan was definitely very influential.
Same.
Yeah, no, and it's like, so eventually I kind of had this thing where every spring I would go get a cabin with just 1 or 2 people, and I would treat it like a pilgrimage. It was like eat a very clean diet the night before. I would set intentions.
Cut yourself off from technology.
Yeah, cut yourself off from technology. And I would do this. And it's like the second time I did it, like I seen my brother and I seen all the influences. I seen my brain being rewired. I seen my brain like disconnecting from addictions. And it was just such a blissful, one beautiful experience. And like I did that for a couple more years. And all this time that's going on, like I'm beating back the depression that I've had my whole life, thinking it's never going to go away. And then eventually I landed into a friendship with some people that with ayahuasca. And it called to me. It was like, this is the next step. Like, why not? So in 2020, October, I sat with ayahuasca, and it was.
Did you do that here? Or did you go to like down to Peru? Or I know people go on these trips.
Let's say you can't do that in the United States, can you?
No, you can't. There's underground circuits. I did it in the United States. I won't name a location or any individuals, but I did it here.
Made of silk.
Yeah, but it was, ayahuasca is different. Like you don't go buy ayahuasca on the street. Like it is made by a shaman, and it is traditionally done in a group ceremony. And there's music and instruments. There's a whole flow to it that the shaman plays these.
What are they
and
called?
It basically Icaros.
Icaros.
Icaros. So Icaros are there to help kind of guide you through this other realm, other spiritual realm, other dimension you're in. And it helps bring you back. Like once the journey's coming to an end, it helps bring you back to earth. So I don't know, like I grew up Catholic and then kind of became agnostic and then atheist, probably around when my brother died. There was probably a correlation there. But through ayahuasca, like I found God and Jesus again. But I've also heard podcasters be like, oh, ayahuasca, DMT, that's a thing of the devil. I'm like, I know dozens of people that found God and Jesus again through ayahuasca. Like the devil might not be doing his job right. I don't know.
Right.
But ayahuasca was the thing that really put a nail in the coffin of my depression. Like for the past 2 years, no fucking depression. Never thought I would feel like that. It's such a beautiful thing. Like I would recommend anybody that is interested or struggling with something to at least look into it. It's not like the other substances. Like the DMT is supposedly already in our brain and in all organic living matter. You're just releasing like more of it. And if you get a good group and a good shaman, like there's so many checks and balances in place. They will screen and make sure you're not on any counteractive prescriptions. There'll be a support group for before and after the ceremony. The shaman will look after everybody during the ceremony. You're sharing things. Like you're not supposed to talk or touch each other during the ceremony. That's kind of the rules. Like silent, kind of like stay on your yoga mat. I usually, if I get up and gotta go to the bathroom during a ceremony, though, I'm like a little rebellious. Like I'll like walk past one of my friends. How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, shh.
How many times have you done it?
So each ceremony consists of either 2 or 3 nights in a row or spaced out. I think at this point I've sat in maybe like 6 or 7 ceremonies. So, times that by 2 or 3.
Quite a few times.
But it was funny because this last fall, we were at this cabin group of like 30 people and
Big group.
And like I kind of came over the hump, like the intense part of my journey, and I'm kind of coming down, but you're still in it. And I wanted some fresh air, so I step outside, and there's a helper there outside just to make sure nobody runs off or does anything stupid. Helper out there and a couple other people, and there was one person like laying in the grass, like having a very powerful experience. And I like asked my friend who was the helper, what's going on? He goes, having a conversation with God. And like if you've ever done mushrooms, when you start coming on the tail end, you kind of like find everything funny, the giggles.
Giggles, yeah.
And I was like, I turned to him, I'm like, oh my God, if people only knew that you could talk to God for $300, like that's it. Wow, $300 you could talk to God. Amazing. But anyway, it's been a big influence in my life. It will continue to be a big influence in my life. I've sat with it in Costa Rica, plan on sitting with it in Peru in the future. It is a emotional purge. It is an energetic purge. You can rewire your brain. It shows you your blind spots. Like, so anybody that's interested in self-help, it's like,
why not?
Amazing. Yeah, why not?
Well, there's
like at least I will sit with this at least once a year for the rest of my life because I never know what my blind spots will be, and I always need an emotional purge. Like our bodies carry this stress and emotional heaviness in our bodies, and it affects us in different ways. And like this is it's like resetting the hard drive, cleans it out, like
a reset. Yeah.
So anybody out there that does these ayahuasca trips, we're looking for sponsors.
Yeah.
Please don't comment below.
Do not say anything. This does not happen in the United States, by the way. Everything happens in
Get
Costa
a
Rica,
VPN.
yes, and Peru.
Get
Yes.
a burner. We'll talk.
Now,
Yeah,
now, do you recommend somebody that's thinking about doing this to do or experiment more with mushrooms before jumping straight into it? Or
think that it is beneficial just because you learn how to enter kind of that psychedelic space and you enter a trip without being scared. Like doing mushrooms first definitely helped me, but if all they have access to is ayahuasca, like I would say go for it, as long as you're in a group with a shaman that like vetted your background. I actually was invited down to help with a veteran group this past February, and there was a handful of like veterans that were sitting in this ceremony, same shaman that I've sat with. So I was a helper, which was beautiful because I was able to give back, and it was just like some of these guys had done mushrooms before and some had never done psychedelics, and just to see some of the transformations, like some of these guys, like even the next day were like, oh my God, I haven't felt this happy in years. Like, oh my, like, and like another interesting thing too that I've seen over the years is like, I'm definitely not going to name names, but like this one soldier, was injured very bad in Iraq, and during his journey, like he didn't mention like, it was really hard for him the first night, and he did not mention war at all. It was all like, my parents, like, why didn't they love me? Like, it was childhood stuff. Like a lot of people, the things that come up, like it stems from
Repressed.
childhood. Yeah, repressed. It's super interesting. But like all these veterans came through like fucking champs. Like I still stay in contact with some of them. My friend is heading the group that organize these veterans, and they're actually pushing legislation. They've actually been approved at a couple state levels to start researching psychedelics helping veterans. So these guys are
That's
fucking
awesome.
out there kicking ass. I
cool.
think that the veterans, saying this corny like battle term, like the tip of the spear, like when it comes to psychedelic legalization, they are definitely going to be the tip of the spear.
Right. Well, there's a lot of like programs out there. I think one of the big ones like called MAPS, which I don't know exactly what it stands for, but I know that they're like a huge proponent
Yeah,
of like
I've heard of
using
MAPS.
using psychedelics to rehab people, especially like soldiers coming back from war, like dealing with PTSD.
I mean, it's going to be certainly interesting because it's like, veterans and conservatives have tended towards being averse to psychedelics. But as soon as you mix like veterans in there, you get a conservative who's like, well, if it helps veterans. So it's like,
Sure.
I see the tide turning, and that a lot of the legislators that have approved psychedelic use for veterans at a state level have actually turned out to be Republicans.
Right.
Interesting.
There you go.
Very
Very.
interesting. So, I don't know. Like, tell me what you've experienced in your self-help journey.
Oh man, well, I mean, I wouldn't say that I've had much like self-help in regards to psychedelics. I mean, I've done, it's been
I mean,
years since I've done-
many roads lead to Rome, right? Though. It's
Sure.
like-
I mean, if I look back on it, I mean, I'm sure I could find some little nugget in there that was helpful at the time. But I mean, more of my self-help stuff has come from books I've read and people that have influenced me. Books I've listened to, podcasts have been a lot of it. But just kind of constantly making an effort every day to like better myself somehow, whether that's reading a book or listening to podcasts. But I mean, I think podcasts have been huge thing in my life over like the last decade. I mean, I've been a big consumer for at least the last 10 years, and I just feel like I've gotten this like education that I would have not
podcasts
otherwise
are
gotten.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
news is better and more truthful, I feel like, through podcasts nowadays. The self-help, like, it's like,
Well, people aren't like hamstringed by an ad every 5 minutes, and
or
people,
a narrative per se.
right? They don't have to
Mhm.
follow. People can actually follow what's true and say what they actually think, and they're not like worried about this sponsor or that sponsor. Because I feel like most sponsors that you see on most podcasts, like, I mean, I guess sure they could cut those people off if they're saying something that they don't like.
I
but-
mean, I have seen some people get like canceled, and then you see their sponsors change. It's like,
right,
Mhm.
sure,
like,
but I
here,
mean,
we have this
there's always
supplement that
gonna
we're
be-
making.
there's always going to be someone out there for you, if what you're saying is right and true, and you've got someone behind you. So I think that I don't really know where I'm going with this. But
I mean, that's what's beautiful about podcasts, and like even your podcast. It's like, sure, maybe this podcast won't go on to crush it and be the world, but it's like, if you helped one person younger than you succeed or change their life, or maybe they were thinking about like killing themselves, and they decided not to do that because they were inspired by your podcast. And like,
man.
Yeah.
amazing.
Absolutely.
And I like the things you guys talk about in this podcast. It's like, you're doing it. Like, people are positively affected by this podcast because of what you're talking about.
I appreciate you saying that.
Thanks,
And
man.
that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, I mean, I've just really enjoyed doing it so far. Just
Right.
having these conversations. I think we're gonna get, like a great education from this more than anything. 'Cause,
absolutely.
I mean, stuff we've learned from you today. That now I'll remember this conversation, and shit, we can go back and listen to it over and over again.
We can
Right.
take a trip to Costa Rica.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say we're gonna
exactly.
have a Zach and Pat show
Zach and
ayahuasca
Pat,
trip.
Yeah.
I will be outsourcing for a cameraman that day.
Yeah.
I will not be working the camera.
Might be partaking.
I guess that's a good spot for us to kind of wrap it up. But Nick, is there anything else you want to tell anybody about or anything?
No, I'm just very grateful to be on this podcast. Thank you, Murphy, for
I'm doing my job. What do you mean?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, well-
right.
Well,
Thank you, Pat.
Good
Thank
to
you, Zach.
good to
No?
reconnect after
yeah,
all these
absolutely.
years.
Yeah,
For
it's
sure,
crazy.
yeah.
Just
Such a small town.
world,
Yeah.
man.
Such
Small
a,
world.
Glad he likes Blue City Deli too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
for
know.
sure.
I don't think it's Zach's favorite.
No,
sandwich.
I like Blue City, but I'm a LeGrand's guy. at
Okay,
heart,
LeGrand's.
so. All right, guys. Well, remember, follow us on Instagram at Zach_Vegas, STL_Mortgage Nerd. You can find Nick at Gangster Hippie
Gangsta Hippie 85.
85. Remember, like, subscribe, tell a friend, and we will see you on Monday.